Hurricane season is quickly approaching. Michael Spagnolo has this year's forecast, Nature in the News stories featuring solar panels, and Penn State's very own Ag Day. Coming up, Marissa has your weekend forecast covered. All this and more on this week's Whether or Not. Hello and welcome to this week's show of Whether or Not. I'm Rodden, your host.
And I'm your forecaster, Marissa Lautenbacher.
You know, I'm really excited for this weekend. It's Penn State's annual blue and white football game, and I'm going to be voting for Penn State.
Well, I will also be rooting for Penn State because it's Penn State versus Penn State.
You know, it's shaping up to be a really, really beautiful weekend, isn't it?
Yes, it will be, and I will have more details on that in my forecast coming right up.
Oh, thanks, Marissa. And now for your Nature in the News. The latest trend in energy efficiency for cars is start-stop technology, which shuts off a car's engine when it is fully stopped. This is becoming an increasingly more popular feature in the newest cars due to the strict energy efficiency standard in today's progressive environment. Average fuel savings range from 3 to 5%, which is more significant as additional miles are tacked onto a vehicle. This is a huge selling point as car companies struggle to compete in this environmentally conscious world, and we can expect this technology to be available in the majority of automobiles in the next few years.
Scientists are on their way to predicting earthquakes. They believe that larger earthquakes are unlikely to occur following tremors below a Richter scale of 2. The Richter scale is measured from 1, meaning a small tremor, to 10, which would be given to a catastrophic earthquake. The smaller tremors are typically found along the San Andreas fault line in California. A team of scientists from Singapore found that not only do these vibrations potentially point to an impending earthquake, but they also discovered a discernible pattern to them. The discovery contradicted their current understanding of how fault lines accumulate and release stress over time. If only slow fault movements are detected, it does not mean that a large earthquake cannot happen there. Contrary, the same area of the fault can rupture in a catastrophic earthquake. The team's latest findings could potentially be applied in seismic monitoring of the area to better help forecast larger earthquakes in the region.
The College of Agriculture at Penn State hosted its annual Ag Day this past Wednesday. Ag Day is open to everyone, especially if you might be interested in a major in the College of Agricultural Sciences. Ag Day is an annual event that helps the larger university understand the incredible work happening in the college, which is why this year's theme was Ag Science Lives Here. Penn State Ag Day featured hands-on activities with many of the college student organizations and live demonstrations. Students could plant pansies, access ag literacy, spy a screech owl, and of course, enjoy a cone from the creamery, along with many other activities. The students were also shared insights into the college and majors, including its history as the Farmers High School of Pennsylvania.
In a 3-year research effort by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, they estimated the potential for rooftop solar panels on American homes. The study found that there is a potential of over 1,000 gigawatts of capacity and over 1,000 terawatt hours of annual energy generation alone from rooftop solar panels. The panels would have the potential to match almost 40% of the nation's electricity sales. The study looked at 128 cities, which would be the equivalent of 23% of the buildings in the United States. Research found that most of the small buildings are actually suitable for rooftop solar panel installation. The team, however, did not take into account ground-mounted panels that are already installed or the potential for more. If the study were to include other areas besides rooftops, such as parking lots and the sides of buildings, then the potential for solar panel energy generation would greatly exceed their current estimates. Hello, and here's your central Pennsylvania forecast for this weekend. Definitely a nice weekend to start out, as we do have a high pressure system that is over in eastern Canada. We will have a blocking pattern set up, which means we will have warm temperatures, dry conditions for most of the weekend. So Friday will be sunny, and we will have some warmer conditions, especially for this weekend. The surface high pressure will be leaving towards Maine, but we will continue to receive its effects here in Happy Valley, as we will have sunny conditions for our blue and white game on Saturday. Definitely looking, as we will have another high pressure system slide on into Pennsylvania, and that will be giving us some milder temperatures, as we will have that sunshine beating down on us on Sunday and mostly throughout the week, as we will have fairly clear conditions, not really much in the terms of cloud cover. 62 on Friday with gorgeous sunshine. Definitely, if you have any outdoor plans for this weekend, this is the weekend to do it, as it's a drastic change from last weekend with our colder temperatures and snowfall last weekend, but seems like it's time to tie all that up, as Friday, 38 degrees. Davy Labs, Penn State Astronomy Club, has 8 o'clock stargazing on top of their laboratory. So it'd be a great night to do that on Friday, but on Saturday, 64 degrees, plenty of sunshine for our blue and white game. So definitely looking forward to that. But on Saturday night, again, much of the same thing, clearer skies on Saturday night, 42 degrees, another great night for stargazing as well. Looking at our temperatures on Sunday, 72 degrees, very comfortable conditions, and that will definitely be the day to open up your windows, let some of that fresh air into your home. So again, Saturday, we do have our blue and white game, 64 degrees, not bad, sitting on the bleachers as we root for our wonderful school, Penn State, and we will welcome back a lot of the alumni coming back here to Penn State to enjoy the game. So, and here is Michael with his feature on the upcoming hurricane season.
The Atlantic hurricane season is just over a month and a half away. It begins on June 1st and runs until November 30th. So far this year, we've had one hurricane. It was Hurricane Alex back in January of this year, and it impacted the Azores. All eyes now look ahead as to what the next several months will bring, as many organizations are beginning to put together their seasonal hurricane forecasts. Several educational and media groups work hard in the weeks before the season begins to produce both a quantitative and qualitative forecast for the number of named storms, hurricanes, and major hurricanes that can be expected in the upcoming season. These groups of scientists look at a variety of factors when making their forecasts, but one of those plays a big role.
Well, the most significant thing that scientists look at and forecasters look at is the El Nino, La Nina southern oscillations.
And so is the El Nino Southern Oscillation, a naturally occurring cycle of the warming and cooling of the equatorial eastern Pacific waters. El Nino is the warm phase and La Nina is the cool phase, and for the past year or two, ENSO has been in the warm El Nino phase. El Nino peaked this past winter and has begun to weaken. Current forecasts show that El Nino will continue to weaken over the coming months and will likely be in neutral territory for most of the summer, possibly changing to a La Nina for the fall and into early winter. The changing of the ENSO may have different impacts on this hurricane season.
ENSO has been shown to be very correlated with the number of storms in the Atlantic basin. So when El Nino is pretty strong, that tends to increase the vertical wind shear over the Atlantic Ocean, and so that suppresses the number of storms. When you have the La Nina phase, which is the colder phase of ENSO, then that tends to decrease the vertical wind shear, which allows for more storms to form.
Colorado State University, one of the more notorious groups for their forecast, will release their predictions on April 14th, along with updates on June 1st and April 3rd as the hurricane season progresses. The Weather Channel and the National Hurricane Center will release their numbers very soon, and the Penn State Earth System Science Center, directed by Dr. Michael Mann, will release this year's predictions on May 5th. AccuWeather.com has already released their numbers last week, calling for 14 named storms, 8 hurricanes, 4 major hurricanes, and a bold prediction of 3 U.S. named storms making landfall.
There's value in getting people to prepare for the hurricane season. So when they hear about these forecasts, they understand that we're about to enter this time of the year where you need to be prepared and looking at the weather every so often in the tropics, so that you understand what kinds of storms are out there and if they could potentially impact you.
Now, the general consensus among the groups in their pre-forecast discussions has been for a just below or near average hurricane season, which, according to the National Hurricane Center, an average Atlantic season consists of 11 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes. Only time will tell just how many hurricanes or tropical storms we will see this upcoming season. For Whether or Not, I'm Michael Spagnolo.
Thank you, Michael, for that feature. Now, here's a look at your extended forecast for this weekend. So our main story is we will have beautiful, sunny conditions. Our temperatures will be fairly mild, as our temperature should be around average as 62 degrees. That'll be our temperatures on Friday, and we will have some beautiful sunny skies continuing on throughout the rest of the weekend. But we will have that temperature, again, a 10-degree temperature change from Friday, on into Sunday. So that's definitely the day to open up your windows, let some of that fresh air in, or go outside, do some gardening or anything that you'd like to do outside. Definitely the weekend to do it. And that won't be changing very much, as our temperatures will still remain warm on Monday, and then they will be on the decrease on Tuesday, but not much past towards average for this time of year. And our temperatures should be evening out a little bit more for the late week for next week. Looking at Monday and Tuesday will continue to remain sunny, and looking on from Thursday into Friday, our skies will start to cloud up back again.
Well, thank you for that forecast, Marissa. It looks to be in ideal conditions for this week's game on Saturday.
Yes, temperatures will be fairly comfortable if you're sitting out there on the bleachers at Beaver Stadium, and we'll have optimal conditions for the game.
That sounds wonderful. But right now, let's take a look at your Weather Whiz quiz question. Earlier in the show, we asked, on average, when does the Atlantic Ocean typically see its first named tropical system? A, June 1st, B, August 13th, C, July 9th, or D, June 15th. If you pick C, July 9th, you are correct. As Michael mentioned in his feature, the hurricane season starts on June 1st. However, on average, on the first year, the first named storm is not until July. This year was an exception, as our first storm of the season was named back in January.
Yes, and that hurricane was actually a Category 1, which occurred in the Azores. Its name was Hurricane Alex.
Yeah, and as Michael said in his feature, it's shaping up to be an average hurricane season this summer. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Ann Rodden.
And I'm your forecaster, Marissa Lautenbacher. Have a great day.